Hello. Today's talk is based on some of the work in Thich Nhat Hanh's book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching. Today, I want to talk about some components of meditation. Primarily, those components that I'm going to go over today are referred to as stopping, calming, resting. So it is part of the process of what we are doing when we are actually sitting and meditating. So I'll start by telling a short story that I read in a book by Thich Nhat Hanh. And the story goes like this. A man is riding a horse, and the horse is galloping quickly, and appears that the man on the horse is going somewhere important. Another man standing alongside the road shouts, "Where are you going?" And the first man replies, "I don't know, ask the horse." So the reason I tell the story, and I think the reason the story is in the book, is because oftentimes that is how our life seems. We are going somewhere, but we are not in control or in charge of where we are going. We are just sort of running somewhere. And if we look at this and we can think about the horse as what we would refer to as our habit energies, we would see that habits and things that we don't really think about are what drives us. We do things because we've always done them that way. We do things because that's how we've always responded to things. We do things because that's just the pattern of our behavior. And part of what we want to do is to, of course, recognize that. And in order to be able to fully recognize and act on that, if you will, we have to learn the art of stopping, calming, resting, and healing. So let's just take a look at stopping. What is it that we are looking to stop, right? We have to identify what that is. So primarily, we are trying to stop our thinking, our habit energies, our forgetfulness, and the strong emotions that rule us. So when we talk about all of those things, what we are trying to do is stop our thinking by looking at it, becoming aware of what it is, which gives us the power to identify something, right? So that we are not just kind of responding, and our thinking is just sort of like a snowball rolling down the side of a hill, getting larger and larger and larger as we go. And our habit energies are what drives that snowball. And what's driving that snowball are ways we have responded to things in the past, things that are inside of us that we may or may not be aware of. Why we respond angrily when we're driving, why we may respond with silence when somebody confronts us with something that is uncomfortable to us. Any one of these kind of habit energies, if you will, as they call them, that we have that we're not really thinking about. We are just sort of being on automatic pilot. Our forgetfulness is really our forgetfulness to be mindful. We just forget to be in the moment, and we just let things take their place. And of course, the last one that is mentioned is the strong emotions that rule us. Those things that pop up that are hard to contain and control, but they are there. And so these are the things we have to work on stopping. So what's the key to stopping all of this? Of course, as you would guess, the key really is the energy of mindfulness, that we need to be aware and to recognize and to be present with our habit energies, those things that we just briefly talked about. And that when they come up, if we're mindful, we can recognize them. And in a sense, we can sort of say to ourselves, okay, I see you there. I see you wanting to push me to act in this way. I see you sort of shooting me out the cannon, and there I go. And with mindfulness, one of the things that we can begin to do is we can just recognize them. Just by recognizing them and slowing the way we think about things and the way our mind works, we can begin to stop and gain more agency in how we go forward. Now, of course, that sounds simple, but is really quite difficult. The ability to stay present, to overcome the instinct, if you will, that we've developed to act because that's what we do, is a difficult thing, which is why when we meditate, we practice slowing our minds down and slowing our thinking down and seeing. We talk a lot about seeing. By seeing that, it creates that interlude, that pause, that momentary stoppage where we can act not on what is sort of unconsciously driving us, our habit energies, our emotions, but that we can act in a way that is skillful and is going to get an outcome for us that's going to make us feel less dissatisfied, more whole, content, and really the outcome that is more desirable that we would like to get. Now, as we recognize, as we become aware, as we are mindful, it allows us to calm ourselves down. And by calming ourselves down and by calming down, what I mean to be implying here is that when we are aware of something, when we are working to stop our habit energies, our emotions, and we create that pause and we slow down to sort of, if you think about your mind at half speed or a quarter speed, or even if just to sort of stop for a second or two, it gives us a sense to calm down. And calming our body and mind down is really important. And we can see it in perhaps 5 ways. There are 5 things that are going on for us. 1, we recognize the emotion that we're feeling, anger, anxiety, whatever it is. 2, we accept it. This is real. We don't try to deny it, push it away. We allow it to be there. We recognize the emotion. We also then embrace it. And we might say that we sort of hold it, we look at it. We recognize that it needs our help. That emotion that is trying to get out, that is difficult for us, or it causes us dissatisfaction or discontent or unsettledness, is something that we can work to calm itself, almost like it is a child that we are trying to calm down at any point in time. But in order to do that, we have to, in a sense, embrace it. Next is looking deeply. If we are calm enough, if we slowed things down enough, we can try to look at what the root is of that, what brought it on, what triggered it, what habit energies, what deep emotions, where are they coming from? And finally, the last part of this would be insight. To really, once we've identified and started to look deeply at it, to get to a deeper level, right? Perhaps the child is injured that we are trying to calm, right? So perhaps the emotion comes from an injury in us that we don't even recognize. It comes from a place of pain, of something that we did that we are uncomfortable with. And so we have to look at that. So again, if we look at those components of calming, it are things we've talked about before: recognition, acceptance, embracing, looking deeply, and insight. And finally, the last piece of this is about rest. I think one of the things that we do not do well as adults, or at least in my experience, I haven't done well, is when I am injured or sick whether it be psychologically, mentally, physically. The feeling that I get is I want to try to plow through it, just to plow through that feeling. I'm tough enough, I can do this. But a better response would be to rest, to give ourselves a time to take in all the work we have done, as we have talked about, between stopping and calming, and to rest to solidify those gains. So just like when we are nurturing a child or a baby or even a pet, and we know they're in pain or injured, what do? We encourage them to rest. I encourage you also to take, in a sense, your own advice. And toughening it out isn't always the solution. Rest is always important. Recognize when you need to step back, give yourself a break, give yourself permission to do nothing. Do what you need to do to rest your mind. Have a great day. Thank you.